Chapter 12, Mismanagement Inquiry. The General of the chapter shall proceed with the process of the allegation of the complaint with the mismanagement of the Army legal office under the technical supervision of the judge advocate general. The allegation complaint with the mismanagement again with the member of the judge advocate legal civil the with the supervisor with the capacity of the John Army with, for example, the joint legal office, the scope of the mismanagement involved with the action with the omission with the other, intentionally negligent, more than simple negligency with the diversely effective efficient with the effect of the delivery of the legal civil the aim with the mischief with the government resource with the personal material any other act with the contrary with the operating principle operating principle of the Army regulation judge advocate general of the personal policy memorandum of the mismanagement does not include the disagreements with the management style of the management decisions that are merely debatable with the action and inaction with the concept of the simple negligence, minor errors of the isolated instance of the matter, they have their own clear course of the appealated resolution, for example, the OER of the non-commission officer of the evaluation report, appeal with the purely discretionary, for example, the board recommendations. Allegation of mismanagement with the review that made against the joint judge advocate legal civil review with the time of the alleged mismanagement actual service the supervisor capacity according for the definition for the judge advocate legal paragraph 31 with the regulation including the commission warn off of the enlisted personnel with the civilian personnel for the above criteria for the allegation claim with the mismanagement coupled with the alleged violation of the professional responsibility for the other applicable ethical standard with the inquiry with the government procedures set forth in chapter 11 of this regulation. Chapter 3 procedures complaints supervisory lawyers are all levels of responsible to proceed with the review of the allegation complaint for the mismanagement with the intent for the determinant with the meet with the criteria with the paragraph 12.2 with the credible determination allegation complaint with the credible information received provided with the responsible mismanagement with the paragraph with the 12.2 with the complaint with the determinant with the credible will be with the report with the technical channel with the chief of the personal responsibility builder branch with the office of the judge advocate general for the action with the chap of the complaint with the determinant with the not credible with the copy of the complaint with any of the region with the complaint with the associated document with the pertaining complaint with the acts applicable with the following regulation in response to the complaint with the one form of the complaint review the allegation of the complaint with complete with the privacy act with the preventing the discovery of the result of the review of the complaint with the determined to be more not credible allegation alleged with the conduct of the not noteworthy of the sense of the other reason of the complaint should be reported with the technical channel of the chief of the personal responsibility branch. Well, the intent of the paragraph is to provide with the guidance for the reporting complaint with the mismanagement. Nothing here prohibited the report of the complaint management with directly through the technical channel of the personal responsibility branch for the deputy judge advocate general with the judge advocate general of the mismanagement. Inquire with the upon receipt of the allegation complaint with the mismanagement with the credible the chief of the personal responsibility branch director of the management. Inquire with the files designated the judge advocate general the chief of the personal responsibility branch offer the right to task one or more with the judge advocate of the inquiry offer the conduct of the case for the conduct of the inquiry with the allegation and the complaint according to the procedures set forth with the regulation signed with the mismanagement cover the officer of the profile of the rules of the governing informal investigation under provisions AR 15.6. Notify the chief of the personal responsibility branch for the refer for the allegation complaint for the mismanagement appropriate the senior supervisor for the judge advocate of the judge advocate over the supervisor position or designated with the judge advocate deputy judge advocate over the chief of the personal responsibility branch. Chief of the personal responsibility branch may also perform the duty of the senior supervisor judge advocate appropriately done with the circumstance of the May time and assume the full responsibility over the case of the take of the appropriate judge advocate general the deputy judge advocate general chief of the personal responsibility branch may identify designate the particular judge advocate or senior supervisor judge advocate particular case judge advocate legal servant the civilian lawyers may be deployed the judge advocate deputy judge advocate chief of the personal responsibility branch perform the duties of senior supervisor judge advocate appropriate under circumstances. Senior supervisor judge advocate will appoint an inquiry officer in unusual cases where the no clearly identifiable senior supervisor judge advocate with the inquiry officer of the judge advocate general the deputy judge advocate general chief of the personal responsibility appropriate with the personal responsibility branch for the performance of the duties senior judge advocate personal responsibility branch will perform with the inquiry of the officer judge advocate legal civil of the main points of the point with the inquiry of the officer of the appropriate senior supervisor judge advocate himself of the personal responsibility to perform with making such appointment as subordinate over the main detail of the gather facts question individual will collect and pertain with the documents brought with the inquiry of the officer with an independent review of the fact for the other written finding of the recommendation inquiry of the officer should normally be senior subject to the inquiry have the assignment of the supervisor position conduct with the time of the appealated military judge to be investigated the inquiry officer for the current military judge in fact with the absent coordinator with the chief of the personal responsibility senior supervisor judge advocate did not serve as an inquiry officer. Inquiry officer will conduct a complete inquiry of the allegation complaint with determine the fact for the circumstance for the statement of witness for the preserve of the summarized findings form minimized signed with either witness for the inquiry officer provide with the appointment of authority written report summarized facts provide with the conclusion as for the mismanagement cover the appropriate recommended to corrective the disciplinary action. Findings with respect to the mismanagement there will be with the preponderance of the evidence, standing with the proof of the none of the standing with the finding with the support with the greater weight with the evidence, with the support with the contrary with the conclusion that the evidence may point with a particular conclusion is more credible with the probable than any other conclusion. If the allegation claim with the mismanagement is coupled with the allegation violation professional responsibility of the applicable ethical standing with the inquiry with the governor with the procedure with set forth in chapter 11 of the regulation evidentiary standard of the proof mismanagement preponderance of the evidentiary standing with the proof professional responsibility with our ethical standing with a clear and convincing, paragraph 11.3d. Copy of the documentary evidence witness statements will be attached, exhibit the property act with a statement that will be with appropriately attached for the inquiry report, inquiry officer of the report with some instance with the contained with conclusion, observation, recommendations, concurring subject contact with the performance unrelated allegation complaint with the mismanagement that is the focus for the inquiry. Such conclusions, observation, recommendations will be included. A reasonable person would consider them in the diversity of the subject with the substantive with the preponderance of the evidence standing with the proof of the mismanagement of clear or convincing evidence standing with the proof professional responsibility, other ethical standards, and relevant subjects serve the judge, advocate, legal service upon receipt with the senior supervisor, judge, advocate, determine if it was complete. It will return into the inquiry officer with the further inquiry with the one satisfied with the report is completed. The senior supervisor, judge, advocate will forward with the report, achieve the personal responsibility, branch, active below headquarters, department, army, office, the judge, advocate, general. The complaint begins with the supervisor, judge, advocate, legal service. Other senior other than a supervisor, judge, advocate, equivalent principal, judge, advocate, legal service, the advisor with the power of the title with the touch of legal advisor, legal counsel, commanded, judge, advocate, unfound with the inquiry officer with the report will conclude with the allegation complaint with his unfounded with the senior with the judge, supervisor, the judge, advocate, concur with the senior supervisor, judge, advocate, after coordinated with the chief of the personal responsibility branch, close the case. Senior supervisor, judge, advocate will notify the subject of the inquiry writing in the case for the code with the inform of the complaint with the writing of the review of the allegation complaint with the complete with the Privacy Act prevent with the disclosing result of the review. Copy of the report subsequent the correspondence will provide with the judge, advocate, general, with the tenant, with the DAGA, with the PRB, with the found with the minor nature of the inquiry with the officer report conclude with the allegation complaint with the found mismanagement in mind with the nature of the can be resolved with the counsel with the officer general with the judge, advocate, general level. The senior with the supervisor, judge, advocate concurs. Senior supervisor, judge, advocate, coordinated with the chief of the personal responsibility and refers with the copy of the report come with the subject of the comment. Subject will be responsible for the time normally 14 to 21 calendar days provide comments for the senior supervisor, judge, advocate, make arrange with extension for time good cause, for example, the reason beyond with the subject control figures that provide comment at the time for an extension thereof will constitute waive of the opportunity with the comment. Referral of the copy to the report with the subject addition with the other reports of the matter subject of the main required with the law, regulation, imposition, judicial and unjudicial disciplinary administrative of the other corrective action upon receipt of subject comments for the senior supervisor, judge, advocate will review, analyze them, and with the content of the report will determine the allegations should remain in the minor of whether the counseling below of the office of the judge, advocate, legal remains appropriate. If the allegation remains found with the senior supervisor, judge, advocate, ensure that the counseling take place on the case with and close the case with the informed subject of the inquiry and writing of the case is closed with the informed of the complaint, and if any with the writing of the review of the allegations complaint is complete, Privacy Act prevents disclosing of the result of the review of the copy of the report. Subsequent accordance provided with the judge, advocate, general with the DAGA, PRB found more than the minor nature of the inquiry with the officer of the report includes the allegation complaint is found with the mismanagement of the more than the minor nature that should not be resolved with the concerns of the officer general level. The senior supervisor, judge, advocate, concurrence senior supervisor, judge, advocate after coordinating with the chief of the personal responsibility branch with a copy of the report with all the subject comment. Subject will be given a reasonable time, normally 14 to 21 days calendar provided with the comments for the report, submit any of the matters of the role. Senior supervisor, judge, advocate may grant with extension of time with good cause for the example for a reason beyond subject and control. Failure to provide comment for the time provided extension thereof will concept with the waive of the opposite comment and with comment with the referral of the copy to the referral of the subject with addition with the with the referral of the man of the subject with the may recur with the law of regulation applicable to the imposition with the judicial with the non-judicial disciplinary administrative or other corrective action upon receipt of the such comments with the senior supervisor, judge, advocate will review with the analyze them with the content with the report and determine whether the allegation should remain with the found more than a minor nature or whether the counsel and the officer of the judge, advocate, general level of remaining inappropriate and an allegation remains found with a more than minor nature of the senior supervisor, judge, advocate will provide with a written finding with recommendation together with the report, subject rebuttal, chief of the personal responsibility branch for their action, complaints against the supervisor, judge, advocate, of the equivalent principal, judge, advocate, legal advisors, unfound with the inquiry with the officer with the conclude with the allegation complaint with the fund found with the senior supervisor, judge, advocate, concur with the senior supervisor, judge, advocate will forward with a report to the chief of the personal responsibility branch accompanied with a written recommendation found with the, if any, inquiry with the report, conclude with the allegation complaint with the found with the mismanagement is minor in nature of the found with the mismanagement with the minor nature of the senior supervisor, judge, advocate, senior supervisor, judge, advocate, after the coordination, chief of the personal responsibility branch refer with a copy of the report subject for the comment. Subject will give it a reasonable timeline or 1421 calendar days providing the comments over the subject of any of the matters rebuttal supervisor judge evident may be the extension of the time for good cause for the example for the reason subject control failure to provide comments for the time provided the extension thereof the constitute with a waiver of the opportunity with the comment the referral of the copy of the report subject with addition with the referral matters and subject may be required with the law regulation applicably imposition judicial non-judicial disciplinary administrative with the other corrective action. Upon receipt of the subject comments with the senior supervisor judge applicant will review the analyze of them in contact with the report of the vibe only the written finding with a recommendation together with the report subject of the rebuttal of the chief of the personal responsibility for their action. Further action of the time conservative indicated for the conservative the chief of the personal responsibility paragraph at any of the time with the judge applicant deputy judge applicant personal over the responsibility appropriate may assume the full responsibility over the case, take further action as deemed appropriate under the circumstances. 12.4 actions again office of the judge advocate general with the inquiry with the receiver of the personal responsibility by branch with the further action personal responsibility branch will review with the provide with the inquiry with the member and the legal advice of the deputy judge advocate will in either discretion determine the appropriate action each of the case will not be bound with a recommendation inquiry office of the intermediate judge advocate other military or civilian supervisor the chief of the personal responsibility branch judge advocate general will reserve any action with the given in any case chief of the personal responsibility branch for the flow of the case of the deputy judge of the judge advocate with the judge advocate with the discretion determine the appropriate action such of the case will not be bound with the recommendation of the deputy judge advocate determine the action adverse for the interest of the subject of the complaint is appropriate with the other than additional action in U.S. Code Military Justice Army Regulation 637 and other regulation directive with the containment of the other procedural safety guards. Deputy judge advocate or the judge advocate general the designated delegate will inform the subject and related to action will call for the copy of the report to be served with the subject with a comment the notice of the opportunity comment is additional of the notice of senior supervisor judge advocate. Subject will give it given the 10 calendar days to provide comments for the report of the proposed action submitted with any of the materials rebuttal for the finding with the report personal responsibility branch may grant with the extent for the time of the good cause for example the reason for the beyond with the subject's control. Fair to guide with provides comments with the time provided with any extension with thereof the will constitute with the waiver opportunity with the comment of referral for the copy of the report subject in addition with the other referral of the matter subject with the required of the made by law regulation Apple imposition judicial non-judicial disciplinary administrative with the other corrective action. Any final action by the deputy taken by the deputy judge advocate general with the judge advocate general the reserve of the action with the in this case with the note of the 12.4a is final and not subject with the record for the reconsideration appeal unless such action with another purview with another law regulation directive policy proceed with such request reconsideration appeal others like due processes. Upon completion of the final action, Headquarters Department Hiring Personal Ready Responsibility Branch will close with the case for the notified subject with the inquiry of the writing of the case is closed unless for the written notice of the case for the resolution of the judge advocate general with the deputy judge advocate and correspond with the subject. Inform complaint with the if and the with the writing of the review of the allegation. Complaint with is complete with the privacy act with the prevents disclosing with the result of the review. 12.5 with the reprisal prohibited. No supervisor judge with the deputy supervisor of the other official with the may take with the file fails to take any action regarding the complaint with the reprisal alleging complaint over the mismanagement, Title 10, U.S. Stand Code 1034B, with the protest, soldier from reprisal communication over the Inspector General, the member of the Congress, member of the DOD, audit, inspection, investigation, court-martial, pursuit of law enforcement organization, person of the organization chain of the companion of the person or organization designated pursuant to the regulation, other established administrative procedure for such communication. 12.6, release of information of the files generated with the chapter in accordance with the rules of procedures set under paragraph 11.9 of this regulation. And that completes Army Regulation 27.1. Army Regulation Legal Service Judge Advocate Legal Services.